φίλοι, γεια σας. Είμαι ο Γιάννης Διαμαντής και παρακολουθείτε την εκπομπή Νέες Εποχές, την τηλεοπτική εκδοχή του ομώνυμου ενθέτου απόψεων και θεμάτων κουλτούρας της εφημερίδας Το Βήμα της Κυριακής. Μαζί μας απόψε έχουμε την τιμή να έχουμε τον παγκοσμίου φήμης διευθυντή ορχήστρας Κρίστοφ Έσενμπαχ. Mr. Έσενμπαχ, thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor.
Well, thank you for having me.
You lost your mother during your birth.
Yeah.
You lost your father after some months. He was an anti-Nazi, and he was sent as a punishment in the Eastern Front.
Exactly.
Your aunt tried to find you. Thankfully, she found you, and she adopted you. We could easily say that your first moments of your life, your first years, could be the first pages of a tragic novel. Can you recall the main melody of that years, if there was any melody of that years?
The melody is a strong, positive word. It wasn't really a melody, it was kind of a very hard childhood. Let's say it like that. And first of all, what you told already about my parents, and then at the end of the war, 4 years later, the destiny of being a refugee. I was born in Silesia, which was at that time German, but was taken over by the Russians, but then Stalin made a pact to give it to Poland, and then it was taken over by the Poles, and so my family, which was rested after all that, was my grandmother and my grand-grandmother. So we were sent out on a long, almost a year of refugee destiny, and then I ended up in a refugee camp, where even a terrible illness broke out, typhus, and I was the last little guy who survived amongst 60 to 80 people. And that was everything else in a melody, I must say. And struck me very much as a child already, so that I was so full of bad impressions that I didn't talk for a year. And in that time, an aunt of mine found me and cured me and gave me life again as health, and took a long time. And also she was a pianist and gave lessons. And when I was sick, I heard the first music in my life in this house. And that was the beginning of my real life.
Do you remember what she was playing?
Oh, she was playing mostly Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, Schubert very much, Schumann, and some Scriabin.
Is there any chance that you remember which were the first words after this period that you remained silent?
She saw how I was kind of excited by her music. Even in the evening, she played in the evening for hours and hours, and she saw me still awake and with big eyes, and asked me at one day, when I was better off with health, she asked me, I see you want to play also, don't you? And I said, yeah, yes, ne in Greece. So, so there my new life began.
Did you find yourself on the verge of quitting, of not trying to carry on back then?
Yeah, of course, because I was seriously ill, and I thought, of course, as a child you don't have any much philosophical ideas, but the question of life and death was there, and more death, which I saw around me, than life. And there I gained life again, and I gained speech again, because I could. The music was like a ventil or an opener.
So then, it was when you decided that you want to become a pianist?
Yes, because I began to play the piano, and I began to love the piano. And the piano music I heard by my foster mother, and the piano music I was rather quickly learning, because also of my strive to want to do music. And so I fell in love. So my first love affair was the piano.
But you betrayed her. You betrayed your
No,
first love.
No, I wouldn't call it like that. I wouldn't call it like that. I still like the piano very much. I still play the piano. I do chamber music, song recitals. I do recitals with instrumentalists, and I still like it very much. But of course, in my first years, when I was an adult, being 19, 20, 21, young pianist who began a career, I found myself on those concert trips very alone, alone on the road, alone in a hotel room, alone on a stage even, with this big animal of piano, being there with his white teeth. And it coincided earlier that I saw a symphony concert with the Berlin Philharmonic, with Furtwängler. And that struck me so much that when I saw people playing, or a man make people play, like angels and devils, the drama of music, which was produced by a collective of people. And I said to myself, not only to myself, to my foster parents also, I said, I want that too. I want to conduct. I want to play with musicians. My mother was very calm and said, well, look, when you want to do that, the piano is not enough, because piano is not an orchestra instrument. You have to learn the violin or a wind instrument. But as my foster father was amateur violinist, I chose the violin. And a week later I had a violin and violin lessons. So that was the beginning of the path into the other direction. But I kept always these two things in a way together.
You had as teachers two of the biggest legends of classical music, Georg Szell and Herbert von Karajan.
Yeah.
Now, still, that when you are at some steps before the podium, do you have in your mind some of their guidelines?
Yes and no. Yes, in terms of that I learned very, very much, and always with the sideline, never copy them. Because with conducting could be very easy to imitate movements or, and this, first of all, I didn't want it. Second of all, I didn't like it with others. that others do it. And third, these two people were such great giants that to begin to copy them would be very low. So I didn't do that, but I learned very much as I listened to many, many rehearsals with them. And as a conductor, I tell it also to young conductors now who ask me, how can we learn better to conduct or learn more in conducting? I said, come to rehearsals, listen to rehearsals. Then you will see how a conductor uses the rehearsal technique. Every good conductor must have a very excellent rehearsal techniques. Maybe one can explain it in how you talk to the musicians, what do you want from the musicians, how do you explain your interpretation, not so much with words, because orchestras don't like to have many words. They want music and they want to be animated to make music. And so I learned to bring in short moments, with one word often, a thing to the point, where the musicians understand that way we have to go, and not another way. So this I learned from these great masters.
which could be the worst moment for you during a rehearsal?
For me, in a rehearsal, that the musicians don't understand me. You know, when I interrupt them and they say something, and they kind of don't understand it, or don't understand what the meaning of the word is. Not only the word, but the meaning of the word is. And that you have to learn, that you have to be perfect in.
And the best moment of a concert, live concert?
The best moment is, of course, when that what you read in a piece, what you think of a piece, your interpretation, is living all of a sudden through the musicians, through the living people who play the living music.
How would you describe Gustav Mahler to a person that knows nothing about him? And which would be your suggestion as a first step to get to know him?
First of all, I didn't know him personally, and of course I've read about him, and I've studied his scores diligently, and that I would tell the person who asks me, study his scores, look what is behind the notes, what is behind the black dots on white paper.
Let's suppose that you are in the same room with Mozart and Mahler, okay? You have to put on the table 3 topics that they have to discuss about.
3 topics. Wow. With Mahler, certainly, it could be topics of psychology, because he is living in the times of Freud. The obvious composer who was putting lights or a lamp into the human soul and distracting all what is there, joy, grief, or whatever. With Mozart, actually, the same. It's only with Mozart it was another time, and Mozart came very much from the opera, and there you have actually a very similar thing. The characters in the opera and how they interact with each other. Look at Così fan tutte, look at Don Giovanni, have very much to do with psychological insights. And I think the discussion with them would go very quickly into the human capacity of conversing together and opening up their soul life.
Mr. Έσενμπαχ, Maestro, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was very nice to talk to you.